and welcome to Martha Monday. I'm Laura McFarland. Our regular subscribers know that on Mondays we get in the kitchen or someplace in the house. We share a tip, a recipe, something about organizing, or just something to do with managing your home or making things run more smoothly and efficiently. So today, that's what we're doing. We're in the kitchen talking about how to make bread. And this is a bread recipe that you can make in only 20 minutes. That's right, 20 minutes start to finish homemade bread. Now, I think some of you have probably thought about making bread in the past, wanted to make bread, just felt like maybe it was too intimidating, too time consuming, all that kneading up and down and punch it down, let it rise again. It just felt like too much. And in the 21st century, we can of course go out and buy bread, and so much easier. But I think if making bread was on your New Year's resolution list, or it's always been something on your bucket list, this would be an easy and delicious one to give a try. It doesn't use yeast, so it doesn't take long to prepare and to bake. Before Christmas, around that time frame, a friend gave me a large container of Greek yogurt. I got a text from her saying, "Do you eat non-flavored Greek yogurt?" And I said, sure. So when she brought it to me, and it was this huge container, I got to looking for a recipe that I might be able to use up all that Greek yogurt. Even though I love eating it by itself or mixing in some fruit, I had a lot of it. So I came across this recipe from Pampered Chef. I've kind of tweaked it and tailored it a little bit to make my own. I'm also doing it with my KitchenAid mixer rather than doing the 4-minute kneading that it calls for. It does have a little bit of kneading, even though there's no yeast in it. So let's just jump in and get started. I want you to see how very easy this recipe is to make. It just makes a small amount. So when I have made it in the past, I have also doubled it up to make a larger amount. But I'm just going to do the single serving today because I want you to see how easy it is. We start off with 1.5 cups of flour. So I'm just using my half-cup measuring container, so I can use one measuring utensil for that. So 1.5 cups of flour. Then we have baking powder, and it calls for 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. And again, I have a 1/2 teaspoon measuring spoon here. So 3 of these, and there's 1.5 of the baking powder. Next, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So 1/2 teaspoon of salt, done. Then we go on to the baking soda. It calls for 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. So drop that in there, good to go. Now here's the little extra that I like to add. This is Tone's Everything Bagel Seasoning, and it makes it oh so very yummy for the way that I make it and what I use it for. So I'm just gonna dump in a couple of tablespoons, kind of heaping tablespoons of this, and that's really going to give it a yummy, yummy flavor. So we're gonna just mix all these ingredients well. I'm gonna give this a little stir with the flour and all the ingredients. That's in there. Now we're gonna add the Greek yogurt. This is a brand new container. I am not brand loyal. This came from Great Value. Sometimes I get it from Aldi. I don't know what brand it was that my friend brought to me, but at any rate, I'm gonna drop in a cup of unflavored plain Greek yogurt. And it was an interesting discovery for me to find a bread recipe that added the liquid of Greek yogurt to make it work. But here we go. So I get my spatula. I'm going to drop all this in here. And there we go. That's all it is. Those are all the ingredients in this recipe. And now we're going to put this here. And I'm going to keep it on a very, very low speed. I'm not going to go real hard. I don't want my dough to get all stiff and icky. I don't know what the word is to describe what I'm talking about. I'm going to put it on low, and I'm going to set my timer here to go for 4 minutes. Now, if you don't have a KitchenAid mixer, no problem. You're going to put all those ingredients in one bowl. You're going to use a spoon to kind of stir it together. It's going to be a little dry, so just keep working with it, and then you're going to turn that out onto a floured surface. I would use either a cutting board or maybe even put some wax paper down or just use your counter. But you're going to keep kneading that slowly and just knead it and work that through for about 4 minutes. And it's going to get to that consistency that you need. In my recipe here, doing it in my KitchenAid mixer, it's just going to be that slow process of eventually it's going to mix all that yogurt in with the dry ingredients over that 4-minute time period. Well, I'm going to let this go for a couple of minutes, and while that's going, I want to just take this opportunity to tell you a little bit about Cross My Heart Ministry. If you are new to our channel, if this is your first time visiting, we want to welcome you. I want to let you know that while we do have fun with our Martha Mondays, and I love getting in the kitchen or sharing a new recipe or hopefully inspiring you with some of the things that I learned the hard way, I like to say that nothing that I share is new or revolutionary. In fact, there are things that most of you have eventually figured out on your own or will eventually figure out on your own. I just hope that maybe I can help you scoot up the learning curve a little more quickly. These are just things that I learned as I raised my family and tried to figure out a way to make it all work and to make it work efficiently and get the house taken care of so that I could be off and on to bigger and more important things. And for me, those important things are all about God, because you see, Cross My Heart Ministry exists to encourage women to love God and to love His Word. And that's the primary reason that we set up the ministry and why we host this YouTube channel. And that's why on Fridays, if you come back and visit, you will find our weekly post of our weekly teaching. Now, during the course of the school year, when I'm teaching through a book of the Bible, that's most likely going to be that weekly teaching that I present live here in Salem Springs, Arkansas. But we have women studying with us from all over, and that's the beauty of YouTube, that women can live anywhere and study along with us. This year, during the 2020 to 2021 academic year, we're teaching through the book of Romans, and we would love for you to join with us. We all are absolutely amazed that God brought us to this amazing book for, we think, such a time as this. So much good doctrine, so much good truth that Paul was heaping up and serving to the Romans then that has direct application to our lives now. We had no idea when we landed in Romans, when we chose Romans a year ago, that all these tumultuous things would be happening in our lives as a country, as a culture, medically, the pandemic, the election, politics, so much upheaval. But God is unchanging. He's still on the throne no matter what. And we have found over and over that we need that truth of Romans. So if you'd like to jump in, it's never too late. You can catch up by going over and clicking on the playlist and finding the Romans Bible study. You can watch each lesson and catch up. You can reach out to us to mail you a copy of our Joy of Living book and jump in with us. Another way to jump in, to become a woman of the Word, is to download a copy of our monthly Write the Word bookmark. We have some women writing the Word with us. And on Sundays, over at our website at crossmyheartministry.com, I publish a weekly blog post that takes one of those verses we're writing each day and unpacks it in the form of a brief devotional. So perhaps studying the Word with us, we have other Bible studies there as well that you might want to give a try and take a look at those. We've done 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel, the parables, and we did a short study in Psalms last May, and that's also there as well. We'd love for you to join us for any or all of those if that would work out for you. Okay, so I'm taking a look at this, and I'm going to stop and give it a little look and see if I think it's ready. It does look like it just needs to maybe combine just a little bit more. I've still got some dry stuff going on down there, so I'm going to maybe drop in just a skosh more of my yogurt and let this go just a little bit longer until it's all mixed in. It's going to feel a little dry, but it should sort of all be sort of coalescing as one big little ball. And so I'm going to wait and see if that happens, if I've added just a little bit more liquid and it's starting to come together. I'm going to get out a board here to sort of put mine on so that I can hold it up and let you see what it looks like. here we go, almost ready. Let me go ahead and take this out. Let you take a look at what it is going to look like. Just gonna use my fingers, ladies. That's how we do it here. We just get a little dirty. I just want to make sure I get all my bagel seasoning. It seems like that's what's falling to the bottom of my pan. Your dough is going to feel cold because it's got that Greek yogurt in there that's been in the fridge. But here's what this looks like, kind of all one big ball. Now at this point, you can just shape this into a ball. You can put this on a baking stone and go ahead and bake it. It does need to bake in a preheated oven at 425, and I'm going to go ahead, I should have probably already had this started. I'm going to go in and get my oven started to preheat, but this is what that looks like. It doesn't make a huge loaf. It's just a little small loaf. You can shape this any way you want. You can pinch off little balls and make sort of individual rolls. You can make it into a loaf or a ball and put it on a baking stone. It's going to bake about 15 minutes, but what I recommend doing is keeping an eye on it, because if you make it into a bigger loaf like this, it might take just a little longer. If you spread it out thin, it might take a little less time. So just, and of course everyone's oven is a little different. My oven is a convection, so it automatically adjusts and decreases about 25 degrees. But I have found that with using this recipe for my purposes, I like to spread it out into a small baking dish like this. I'm going to go ahead and spray this with some olive oil pan spray, and I'm just going to spread this out into this little baking dish as such. And so this is not going to take very long at all. In fact, because I didn't preheat the oven ahead of time, the oven's probably not going to be ready by the time I am. So you can do this with a roller or just spread it out with your hands, but I'm going to make this into sort of a bun, if you will, that I can use to make breakfast sandwiches. And you can look for an upcoming video to come soon where I share my recipe for breakfast sandwiches. They also make great sort of sliders if you want to make a lunch treat. I have used this bread multiple times since I've made this. I had all the family home over Christmas, and I did this a couple of times. I did it for breakfast when I made the breakfast sandwiches that I'll be sharing with you, and then I also used it to make a yummy lunch, and I'll share how I did both of those and the sauce that I used to make them come together, and the meat and the cheese and what have you. So here's what it looks like, all in the pan, spread out nice and even. And then what I'm going to do is just take a knife, and you can use any kind of knife. It doesn't even have to be a sharp knife like this, but what I'm going to do is just go ahead and cut a little slit here down the middle. And so I'm actually going to make this into 9 little squares, just so. And so as they bake, those squares will sort of remain respected, and then it'll be very easy to sort of break apart my little 9 small rolls. Now if you want them to be larger, you can just do squares, and then you'll have 4 bigger squares. These can be buns that you use to make sandwiches. They could even be used for sort of hamburger buns. So here we go. I'm going to let the oven preheat. I'll pop these in to bake. They'll take about 15 minutes, and then I'm going to go ahead and pause the video now, and then I'll be back in just a few minutes to let you see what these look like when they're all finished. So stay tuned. Well, we are back. My bread has baked. It took about exactly 15 minutes at 425, 400 on my convection oven, and look how yummy these rolls look. I'm holding them up here. I think we can zoom in and let you see. You just want to let them bake until they are a nice golden brown. And because I did the little slits with my knife, now these are nice, even little, well, not quite so even. I don't think I was quite as, I didn't get out my ruler to didn't measure when I cut my little lines, but these make easy little buns. They're easy to break apart. They're going to make yummy breakfast sandwiches, and you can look for that video in an upcoming Martha Monday. I want to thank you for spending part of your day with me. I hope you'll give this recipe a try at your house. 20 minutes start to finish to make homemade bread, not bad. You can follow the link below to download your own copy, your own PDF of today's recipe. And while you're at it, you can click the playlist and check out our other Martha Mondays. There might be another recipe that you would like to download and put into your rotation for the things that you are whipping up in your kitchen. If you're a regular subscriber, we appreciate you so much, and we would like to invite you to go ahead and share our channel with a friend that you think might be blessed with a new bread recipe or some teaching on Friday to help stir her affections for the Word of God. If you're not yet a subscriber, we would be so grateful if you would do that. It doesn't cost you anything. You click the red subscribe button, you enter your Gmail address, and that's all there is to it. Easy for you, no cost to you, a huge blessing to us. Friends, I hope whatever you're doing, you are having a great week, a blessed week, and you are letting your thought life and your heart and your affections be focused on God during these uncertain times. For Cross My Heart Ministry, I'm Laura McFarland. Thanks for spending time with us today.